All right, so this, of course, is the big story of the moment. Hamas and Israel have agreed to the first phase of Trump's Gaza peace plan. But remember, for the ceasefire to come into effect, the deal still needs to be ratified by the Israeli cabinet and signed by the Hamas leadership. So all eyes are now on the Israeli cabinet meeting, which is expected to begin shortly. Now, if this deal is signed, then there could be a path for peace that will open up in the Gaza Strip after 2 years of complete devastation that has been wreaked on this occupied Palestinian land, in which more than 67,000 Palestinians have been killed and more than 150,000 Palestinians have sustained some very grievous injuries, often having to undergo amputation. Now, Trump's 20-point peace plan is what could be a beginning of what is going to be a very long and most definitely a difficult road to some kind of peace. Now, under the first phase, all military offensives must stop, and the IDF, that is the Israeli forces, will have to step back to a predetermined line, which would still leave 53% of the Palestinian occupied territory under the control of the Israeli army. Hamas will release all Israeli hostages within 72 hours of Israel's partial withdrawal. And once the exchange of hostages and Palestinian prisoners is complete, the deal will move to a much more difficult phase. Now, according to Trump's 20-point peace plan, Hamas must have no role in future governance of Gaza and must also lay down arms. And for this, Hamas will have to step back from its stated vow to lay down weapons only when the Palestinian state is formed, a condition that has remained a bit of a sticking point in the negotiations. The American President Donald Trump has said that he'll play a role in helping rebuild the war-torn Palestinian territory of Gaza and will keep it safe and peaceful. Under his peace proposal, post-war Gaza will be governed by a West-run temporary transitional government, which will be headed, believe it or not, by Donald Trump himself. He'll be aided by Arab and other Islamic heads of states, Palestinian representatives, and, very interestingly, the former British Prime Minister Tony Blair. But the current peace plan does not specify any timeline on how long the so-called Board of Peace will govern the Gaza Strip, leaving the question open on when does the Palestinian autonomy actually and the right to self-determination come into play. And this keeps the door wide open for a fresh crisis, even if all the chips were to fall in line. All right, now joining us on the broadcast from Berlin, we've got Dr. Volker Stanzel, who is a distinguished fellow at the German Institute for International and Security Affairs. Ambassador Stanzel, thank you very much indeed for joining us here on WION. Now, there is many a slip between the cup and the lip. This 20-piece point plan has been agreed to, the first phase of it, both by Hamas and the State of Israel. Israeli cabinet is yet to ratify it, and they're meeting to ratify this peace deal in some time from now. But the question that I want to ask you is this: do you think both Israel and Hamas are on the same page when it comes to the many aspects of this peace deal which can result in a lasting peace? Is that a possibility?
Good question, but I think the two sides don't know the answer either. They're very far apart from each other. And while it may be easy to get the cabinet to agree to the peace proposal and to what the 20 points plan of Donald Trump, because the pressure is enormous, considering that the whole world has put pressure on both Trump and on Netanyahu to finally agree to the plan of releasing hostages on the one side and to give up arms by Hamas on the other side. While this was the case, look at the next steps that have to be taken. Because so far the Israeli cabinet contains people who are against PLO state. Mm-hmm. But of course, there will be peace in the region in a longer term only if the plan for a Palestinian state is implemented. And I can see many obstacles to that and very few factors that would promote it. And let me say this, on both sides, of course, to get Hamas to relinquish their arms and to relinquish power in Gaza is as difficult as it is to get the rightists in the Israeli cabinet to agree to a PLO state.
I think that's a very crucial point that you've raised, that there can only be lasting peace if there is Palestinian statehood that is given to the Palestinian people. Now, the Israeli Prime Minister's office has put out a social media post giving the Nobel Peace Prize to Donald Trump, who's expected to be in Jerusalem on the 12th of October. Now, Donald Trump is the guarantor of this peace plan. He is the one who's the architect of this peace plan. But once the hostages are released, no one knows as to what will happen to this peace plan, because then Netanyahu, we do not know, because the Israeli army would still continue to occupy about 53% of the Gaza Strip. What do you think happens once the hostages have been handed back in this case?
Again, nobody knows what's going to happen then. But if you look at the history of the past few days, you see this enormous pressure on Trump and on Netanyahu on the other side. Also, enormous pressure on the Hamas representatives. And this pressure has been exerted by the moderate Arab states, who have great interest in getting along with Donald Trump for economic reasons, for the future of their region on the Arab Peninsula. So they will continue to pressure Hamas to agree to implement what has been agreed in the 20 points plan. That is to relinquish their arms and to relinquish power. So that is important as it is that Trump continues to exert pressure on the cabinet, on Netanyahu himself. And no fancy picture of Donald Trump already having the Medal of the Nobel Peace Prize will promote and fasten the process, which still is going to be a very difficult process. And it needs the help from both sides.
One can be cautiously optimistic of what could play out in the troubled Middle East. Thank you very much indeed, Ambassador Stanzels, for joining us with that perspective there.
You're welcome.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.